Ford. Senator Sheehan. Senator Zinke.
Here.
Senator Payano. That with the quorum is met. Is there any discussion on the agenda? The agenda will be adopted without objection. Is there any discussion on the minutes from the 15th meeting? The minutes will be adopted without objection. Is there any discussion on the minutes from the 16th meeting? The minutes will be adopted without objection. We'll now move into a period of public comment. Does any member of the public wish to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports from the officers. Would President Dumpson please come down?
Hi everyone, how are you? I'm really sick, so sorry. Bear with me. Look, I was not being the other day.
I know.
Not even
Yes.
I know. Where did it just go?
It should be.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so I just wanted to go over a few updates, kind of going over the summer, what I worked on so far, and just fill you in on a little bit of things. So in May, we had the Board of Trustee meeting, and at the Board of Trustee meeting, everyone on the executive board went to various different, I guess, breakout groups that they have sort of in the format of committees. And I went to one that was specifically talking about campus engagement. And in that, the big theme was really talking about campus climate. As you all know, the campus climate survey went out. It was going out, I guess, throughout the semester, and it actually ended on May 1st, so prior to the hate crime. So this is the most up-to-date information that the university has. One of the biggest difficulties that we've had so far is that the university is utilizing the campus climate survey data internally, and those results do not get made public. So they don't end up going back to students, they don't go back to our parents, they're not looked over through us. So it's really been used to guide them internally. It's something that I've been trying to advocate for, is they release this information. So I've had the opportunity to discuss with Dr. Fontaha, really what that would look like in terms of facilitating that conversation of what the data was. But what they did tell us at the Board of Trustee meeting was that for all of the different questions, African American students, their results were statistically significant compared to their white counterparts and just the other counterparts as well. They broke it down into white, Hispanic. They didn't break it down, as far as I know, when they presented it to us, between white, non-white, and international students, and then Black and African American. So that data was really, really crucial, and I think it's really key in order to move forward in terms of adequate campus climate. Then I had a presidential leadership summit that I went to, and it was a really awesome opportunity to meet with different student government presidents from around the country and brainstorm best practices, as well as going over things to help us transition smoothly. Conducted J-board interviews with Speaker Noel Wills and then Speaker-elect Maddie Wheeler over the summer, and we did Google Hangouts and we did a lot of different interview processes with candidates. Had a lot of meetings over the summer with university leadership, meeting with President Burwell, with the executive board, meeting with the cabinet, meeting with a variety of stakeholders at the university. I had the opportunity in July to speak before the House Committee on Government Oversight and Reform, and the topic was a hearing on challenges to free speech on college campuses, but in specific conversation about hate speech and what that looks like, and what limitations there are. And I had the opportunity to submit written testimony recently worked with university presidents from across the country to draft joint statements of solidarity in response to the violence that happened in Charlottesville, Virginia earlier in the month of August. That was August, right? Yeah. And recently with DACA as well. And just on Friday, I had the opportunity to speak on a panel before the House Committee on Education and the Workforce about affirmative action, inclusion, racial climates on America's campuses, and was able to testify about the need for diversity, inclusion, and equity in higher education. So my priorities for the year really are campus climate, mental health, sexual assault awareness and prevention, financial security, and student space. But right now, because a lot of the different things that have been going on nationally, a lot of our focus has been on campus climate and mental health in terms of, but also everything else on there, they're all interconnected. So those are really like the top 5 priorities, and a lot of the different initiatives in my cabinet will be working on over the upcoming school year and over the semester will fall under some form of those issue areas. And then I just wanted to explain how my cabinet's broken up, just so everyone knows. The cabinet's broken up into the project management team and the leadership council. The project management team's job is to really make sure that everyone is on task with like what initiatives we're working on, making sure these are being followed through. And the leadership council is made up of 4 directors, director of accessibility, director of accountability, director of support, which is also case goodwill, and then director of inclusion. So you see Yami is director of inclusion, Autumn is director of accountability, and Isabella Zamani will be the director of accessibility. Together, we will all brainstorm ideas and things of that nature, but they will be taking over the primary role of what I guess the committees have been like in the past. And really going out and meeting with people one-on-one rather than delegating to other people to delegate to other people that never actually gets finished. So this is what I have so far.
All right, thank you, President. If you'll stay up here really quick, we will move into any questions for the president. All right, thank you. Now, would Vice President Self please come on down to the floor?
Hello, everyone. I make PowerPoint because I know we do that. People still like tell me things. That's okay. Just very broadly, for me, upcoming events, this kind of what's been going on this summer. I've been focusing a lot on collaboration between different programming boards of KPU, sub, Women's Initiative, Founders, Resource Coalition, and School and Past Councils. We currently have 3 of the 5 school councils, fully e-boards, and 1 of the 4 class councils, class 2020, they have fully e-board. We had a training yesterday for Founders, KPU, sub, Women's Initiative staffs, kind of all bringing us together into one room, kind of collaborating, thinking about ways to move forward as a unit rather than the 4 separate organizations. Upcoming events on the 12th, yes, the 12th on Tuesday, KPU and Kappa Alpha Psi are bringing in Tom Keeshan, who is a congressman from Virginia, and a brother of Kappa Alpha Psi. Kappa Alpha Psi is trying to come back to campus this semester, so that's very exciting. On the 17th, we have South Korean movie, Spider-Man Homecoming. At the end of the month, on the 30th, WI is doing an event with Zero Waste Club. It's a pop-up clothing kind of drive for to start off domestic violence awareness month. So that's very exciting as well. It's a lot coming up, a lot of good events. I think in this year we're going to be working a lot more in tandem with not only with each other, but with more clubs and organizations on campus, trying to make programming that's only relevant, it's also very intersectional and very representative of students on our campus. That hasn't always been in the past. Yeah, that's it.
Any questions for the Vice President? All right, thank you. Would Comptroller Chobit, right?
Yes,
Chobit, please come on.
the first time people get it, you heard it the first time.
Nice to meet you.
So I spent my summer at AU, kind of. So I'm local, so I'm from about 40 minutes away in Maryland. So I worked multiple jobs on campus in Spring Valley and back home. So I was able to attend almost all of the Eagle Summits and greet new students, encourage them to get involved in SG through Senate or different cabinets, cabinet organizations, I should say. And then I was working with quite a few clubs over the summer who were trying to put on events kind of now. And then right now I'm in the middle of getting my cabinet rolling. So I have 2 cabinet members in my very small little couple cabinet. I have Chris Abbott, who's my Associate Comptroller for Human Resources. And I'm going to have Chris be in contact with Will about getting Title IX officers kind of to update us on mandatory reporting as like students who receive stipends and things like that, not only for SG, but I think for RHA as well. And then for my other cabinet member, Laura, I'm going to have her, my associate comptroller for budgeting, she will be compiling a sort of like budget report that kind of lays out like where our money went over the summer to be able to show like, here's what I've been doing. This is what, I wasn't just sitting around with 3-day freshmen. And then moving forward, continuing to work with lots of clubs and organizations about supporting them financially, but also being very aware that they may request more money than I actually have to give for the entire year. And then working with our new student activities director, Ayana, and seeing how we can be more accountable in collecting our receipts when we do give money. So that's it for me, I think.
All right, any questions for the comptroller?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to give you a shout out because you did a really good job with the Eagle Summits. You were our leader every time, so I want to say thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Would Secretary Schneider please come?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Chris.
Everyone should be super excited to know that Google Drive has added some new slide templates. If you remember from last year, I was recycling at the end of the year, so we finally moved those to single designs. So.
Did you like search all of their templates for new ones, or did you?
They just kind of popped up.
No, they pop up.
Great job, somebody.
Like you just. Why is
Well, this one's edgy. That's what
the strong name of the feature. I was drawn straight to it. I love it. So it was a busy summer. I actually interned 40 hours a week. So I was not here during the week, but I was here every weekend, and that's when I did all my work. In terms of recruitment, we had a ton of interest from incoming students at Eagle Summit, which translated to nearly 200 applications to student government for our existing positions that don't even include running for Senate, obviously. So that is unprecedented in terms of our recruitment. And for the first year ever, we centralized recruitment. So there was one form that everybody used, KPU, SUB, WI, Secretary's Cabinet, Community Service Coalition, and CASE. And so that's really awesome. We were able to track a lot of interesting metrics that I can share with you all once I examine them. Recruitment's ongoing. Some branches have already hired their freshman applicants. Some have not. Some of us have not even read the applications yet because they've been busy doing other things. Welcome week was awesome. Every day I was helping greet students from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and then stuck around on campus until midnight breakfast. It was very exhausting. Welcome week was like a lot, but I highly recommend it. It was an awesome experience. I got to meet countless students, countless parents. And for the future, if you're looking for something to do during Welcome Week, volunteer. Everybody's looking for volunteers, and it's a really awesome experience. Yeah. The job board is thriving. 2 weeks ago, I encountered a glitch with the system that prevented me from creating new accounts. So I've been dealing with a lot of angry neighbors, but that has since been resolved, and over like 300 neighbors have signed up for the job board over the past 3 weeks alone. So that's 300 new jobs for AU students in our neighborhood, which is babysitting, one-off gardening, driving kids places, restaurant jobs, etc. What I learned from not being able to create accounts for a couple of weeks is that the neighbors really love this service, and also the students really love it because they get to find like easy jobs that are walking distance, metro distance. So that's really exciting. The AUSU website is still a place to look for events on Undergraduate University, events, other campus organizations and clubs. We're off to a slow start just because I haven't been able to really reach out to clubs yet and say, use our website. It's still a thing, just like it was last semester. But once I do that, I'm looking forward to having just as many events as we did last year posted on our website. I think it was a really great kickoff to the new website, and I'm excited to make that a permanent reality. And if you're part of the club, submit events. There's a form on our website. My transparency initiative for the executive board will take effect in the second half of September, and it'll consist of once monthly updates on our platform commitments. We're all currently going through our platforms and compiling our meetings and our work on our commitments that we did over the summer. And the first report will be published by October 1st. And that's again going to be monthly, and it's going to go point by point about what we committed to during our campaigns. And by the end of the year, hopefully we come close to accomplishing all of them. And if not, why not? Which is something I'm really passionate about. Same thing for the budget. We're going to start working on budget transparency so we can get the AUSG budget up, and with Christine's help, have all of our expenditures on the website. We're setting office hours that will become effective this Wednesday, September 13th, which is going to be awesome. This year, we're also going to try and expand office hours to beyond 270. I'm currently looking into a proposal to have some sort of SG happy hour at the bridge, in which student government would sponsor discount coffee for an hour. So that's something I'm looking into. More updates will come on that. I'm excited about that prospect. Moving on, Will and I are working on an AUSG resource center for student services at American University, because there is no central place to go to find forms to fill out, complaint forms to fill out, ways to contact important university departments beyond like AU Central. So this is an ongoing project that we're working on. We're compiling all the information that's going to go on the site. The next step is to actually create it, get a name for it, and launch it, which is hopefully going to happen either later this month or sometime in October. Definitely before All American Weekend. And yeah, so that's me as well. Then I'm also working on the AUSG Clubs Resource Center, so that's centralizing all of the resources that AUSG offers to clubs, whether it's financial with Christine and co-sponsorships, publicity through me, and there's a couple of other things that we offer to clubs, like the travel subsidy, and just bringing that all under one page on our website that we can direct clubs to, because it's kind of hard to, there's actually no information about travel subsidy on our website. So just centralizing all of that and making it prominent and sending it out to clubs so that every club knows that we offer this information. Accessibility. So I'm beginning to work with our programming branches to ensure that we're being as accessible as possible without requests from ASAP. So it's one thing to comply with requests that students submit through the Academic Support and Access Center, but we should be as accessible as we can even before we get those requests. And that's really easy for a lot of this. It's a matter of being cognizant of where you're booking an event. And this is something we talked about yesterday at the PDP training. People that have 25 live access, they should be utilizing the tools within 25 Live to ensure that they're booking wheelchair accessible rooms, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of those things are free, obviously. It's just being cognizant of where you're booking. And then I'm also beginning to examine the costs of having a recurring captioning service for students at our events, which is something I actually committed to. Contacting me, as always, I try to respond to emails and other communications within a couple hours. My email is secretary@usg.org. Also, when Christoph.Schneider@usg.org. Metro@usg.org. My phone number is at the bottom of my email signature. If you need to contact me faster, it's always give that an option. And yeah, feel free to reach out about anything at any time. We pass this back, as everybody should know. We haven't shipped it up yet. You can pick it up at the Myers building, where parking traffic is now. And yeah.
All right. Any questions for the secretary?
Thank you all.
Hi, will Director Montero please come down?
Thank you. I apologize. I also have a cold. Unlike Taylor, I'm not as tough as her, so I'm just gonna sit. But I promise I'll make eye contact and try to be loud. You might have gotten an email about me. Actually, I'm the whooping cough case. Just kidding. Put that in the record. Just kidding. Sorry, I didn't make jokes. I'm kidding. So I wanted to take this opportunity to do two things. The first is to give you guys an update on what CASE did over the summer, as promised from my last report to the Senate. And then also, as Chris alluded to in an email he sent out to all of you, give you a review about the new Title IX process that we have, because all of you have been invited to a meeting, I believe on the 13th and the 14th, I'm not totally sure, but it's in your email, to educate you on the new changes, which I encourage you to go to, especially because people in our community look up to you guys as leaders. And so if you know the information ahead of time and you can communicate that to them, that's going to be very, very helpful. Okay, so next slide. Awesome, thank you. So first on some changes that we made to the internal structure of CASE. So this year we've divided into 6 divisions. We have litigation, that's just the basic what we do, our bread and butter, the casework, so representing students. Policy, communications, operations, recruitment and retention, and student affairs. And this is just because we have a lot of different goals for the year. And so it's easier if it's not just me, if we're delegating and we have a big team, and so that all these different things are getting taken care of at the same time. And then also we've created a new position of the associate. So in the past we've only had advocates. With the associate, it provides an opportunity for younger, more inexperienced individuals to join CASE. And so you're not necessarily an advocate where all the pressure's on you. You're the one getting the 2 a.m. phone calls when stuff hits the fan. But that there's an associate, so that you have that sort of, the training wheels are still on. We have that for litigation associates, comms associates, and policy associates. And then if you hit next arrow, there's like a little thing. I love slide animation. So we have 41 staff members this year. That includes our associates and our senior staff. Super excited. I could not be more excited about this year's team. I love all the first year students who joined. Super, super pumped, and I'll make sure to bring them to Senate often so that you can meet all of our new members. On communication, so this is old news, but our new name is CASE, of course, not even our new name, just our name, period. The old name will never be spoken of. So we launched the announcement of the new name, and we did that in a video. We tried to do a video a month. We're going to try to keep up with that, but we launched 2 other videos over the course of the summer. One was really cool. Was dedicated to students interested in asking the Title IX investigator applicants questions. And so we put out that video letting students know that they could ask them through us because we were invited to those interviews. We got 16 questions. A lot of them were overlaps, fortunately, or would have been difficult to ask 16 questions in like a 1-hour interview, but we got all the information that we got back to the students who asked those questions. So that was really cool. Interactions with our social media are up 250% since April. Really excited about this. We're trying to get more traction on our Facebook page. We accomplished the Every Lounge campaign, which was pretty simple. We partnered with RAs and the Housing and Residence Life Office to get a flyer in all of the first year student lounges, and then almost all the other lounges across campus, just with information about what CASE does and how to contact us. And then we met with UCM over the summer about different initiatives that we could work with them, ongoing things that they have already, that we could get our name in and our contact information so we could reach more students. Casework. So over the summer, we actually had 21 cases, which is kind of high considering school's not in session, so kids shouldn't be getting in trouble, but there are layover cases from May that didn't get adjudicated, that then get scheduled for the summer. So we had a permanent summer staff, which were able to assist those 21 students. Over half of these were academic, and because of that, we've been working more closely, I'll talk about that later, but more closely with some administrators on making some changes to academic integrity cases. We tested out the associate system, so like I said, we have associates that we used the summer to test it out, worked really well. And then this is exciting, we updated training requirements to mandate that all advocates and litigation associates get trauma-informed training. That's going to be done by Oasis, that's by Sarah Isagari. We're super happy about that. That's been piloted, but it's going to be expanded to I think it's 25 associates in litigation, advocates and litigation associates this week. So super excited about that. Policy priorities. So like last year, I loved working with all of you in the Senate on different policy initiatives that we had. So again, this year, know that I'll be coming to all of you a lot. I'm sure others in the Leadership Council will be doing the same because we are excited to work with you on the different ideas that we have. So the three quick things and then what we did over the summer. So the student rights card, which my friend Chris is going to pass around to Nina and then all of you can see it. Roughly 1,000 of these were ordered. After last year's launch of the initiative, I wanted to provide you with the printout of those so you can see what they look like. We contracted with the same company that Oasis contracts with to do the bathroom stall flyers. It's my baby, I love it, and we're working with Housing and Residence Life right now to determine the timeline for implementation in the inside doors on each residence hall room in each residence hall. It was a huge project. It was the majority of the time we spent over the summer working with all these different people because that language was approved by Dr. Ah, by Title IX, by Conduct, by Oasis. So we really wanted to make sure that that language made sense and that it accurately reflected the rights that students have. Just general meetings. We took meetings with administrators in OCL, Oasis, and Public Safety. And as Christine alluded to, we've been working on a mandatory reporter policy that we want codified through the Senate. Chris actually has already reached out to me. We had a meeting already. We moved our meeting into Taylor's office, so Taylor's heard about some of what we're doing. So we'll have something for you probably about next week. So some summer initiatives that are finished. So we've expanded our services into disability grievances. What that means is that students who have been denied their predetermined support through ASAC, whether that's an accommodation like using a computer in class, taking an in-class exam on a computer instead of in a blue book, extra time, etc. They've been denied that. There's a grievance process. They have never been afforded advocates in the past. That didn't make sense to us, so we spent the summer training and working with ASAC and Conduct. So that's now finished, and we're going to roll out a sort of an information campaign about that this month. We designated a specific advocate for bias-related incidents, so students filing them know that there's an advocate for them, so that it's going to be on our website. It's going to be there for them. Hire and then interview the Title IX investigator. So this seemed like a much bigger goal in April and May. We were afraid the university wouldn't have the funding for it. They did, so we worked with them. We got to be involved in the interview process. Our ideal candidate ended up being chosen. She's awesome. I think if you come to those Title IX meetings that we're going to talk about, you'll get to meet with her. Case direct chat. This is something that Chris and I have been working on. It's on the website right now, and it's going to be expanded a little further. If you go on the website, you can see that there's a little contact an advocate button. So now you can actually go on our website and leave a message, leave your email, contact us. In the future, we're working so that it can be back and forth, so you can actually have a virtual conversation. And then lastly, bias-related incident submission form. This is a really simple fix that we wanted OCL to do, and they've agreed to do it, and it should be coming out shortly. Now, when you file a conduct report, you can actually indicate that the charge is bias related. So in the past, you actually had to go into a message or notes and leave a little note and say, I'm not just filing this because I'm filing it because I believe it was a hate crime, it was a bias related incident. Now there's going to be a checkbox right at the very beginning of the file. So there's a separate, it'll direct you to a separate form. So it's better because the university has a better handling on tracking and then disseminating that information. And B, it's way more user-friendly to the student who's trying to file a bias-related incident report. Fall semester. Okay, I'll go really quick through this. So just to mention, to piggyback off what Taylor said, with the Leadership Council, I cannot stand this idea enough. I think it is such a good idea. It really is going to cut through a lot of the sort of bureaucracy that's been in the past with super, super big cabinets. And so these are a couple of things that we're working on with others in the Leadership Council. But we've been consulting on academic integrity, adjudication reform. There's a professor named Allison Thomas, who's one of the people that leads this adjudication process. So we're working with her on that. Title IX response to what happened on Thursday with Secretary DeVos's announcement that there will be changes, but that those changes aren't known yet. The first really important thing, if any of your friends have questions on what we've been saying, is that no statement, speech, tweets is going to change federal law or our university's policies. That's not how it works. AU's policies are the exact same today as they were on Wednesday, so please make sure that your friends know that. What also happened is that Secretary DeVos announced that she's going to go on another listening tour to ask people about what they think needs to change with the Obama-era regulations on Title IX enforcement. I think it's a really exciting opportunity for everyone in President Dunson's cabinet to make very clear what we believe needs to change, and the only thing that we're going to advocate will be a stronger enforcement mechanisms to make sure that we crack down on perpetrators of sexual assault. But if she wants to listen, we'll make sure that we speak very loudly and that we amplify the voices of survivors as well as we're speaking. And then finally on hurricane relief, as Taylor said, I'm also doing support in our Leadership Council, so I just wanted to make sure everyone knew there is someone targeted on that. We are working on hurricane relief, and we're working with a lot of different students, both so that we can assist people affected by Harvey, Irma, but not just within the United States, also people who were affected in the British Virgin Islands, in Barbuda, and some of the other islands that were hit, because we have students who live in those islands whose families are there. Okay, lastly, I'll explain this briefly. I'm taking way too much of your time, then I'll stop talking, but I just wanted to let you all know a little bit about this process, and then at the end I can take some questions so that you are informed if you go to these September 13th, 14th meetings. So, the process there is on the board. Instead of going through all the steps and boring you, I'm just going to explain the major change. In the past, this process was very similar, except there was a hearing. So at the end of the investigation, if the report is filed and if the university investigates, they'll talk to the complainant, they'll talk to the respondent, they'll get evidence, they'll talk to witnesses, all that happens. At the end of the investigation, a report is made, and the university or the complainant can choose to move to a hearing where the complainant and the respondent sort of face off. You can sort of think like in a legal, like in a court proceeding, where they make their case to 3 judges. It's just the hearing panel, which is consisted of a student, a faculty member, and a staff member. The major change now is that the hearing portion has been removed. This happened after months of consultation with a number of different constituency groups, but also student leaders. Student government had a very, very heavy role in negotiating and influencing these changes. And so a lot of what you'll see in the existing system that will be discussed on the 13th and the 14th is only in there because myself, Devontae, and Taylor worked really hard to make sure that like the positions of this organization were represented in the final outcome of the adjudication system. The sort of the period for review is over. These changes are official. This is the new system. The reason why I think this system is a good idea, and I've listed some benefits there, but the reason why I think it's important that we as a student government sort of speak in unity on this issue is because the hearing itself was intended to provide another layer of due process in our system. In actuality, whatever benefit there was for due process really was never realized, and it became an enormous hurdle for people reporting. Because survivors, to go through the hearing process, you're in the same room as the perpetrator. There's a very poorly constructed divider. If the other side is a lawyer and you're unable to afford a lawyer, the sense of parity, meaning that both sides, and this is true for either side, the complainant or the respondent, you can afford a lawyer, and a lawyer's capacity to sort of game the system and play games is much higher when a hearing exists. The 3 individuals who are making a ruling in the hearing are 3 people that have seen the investigation report for a week at best. They all have tests to study for, tests to grade, staff obligations. So these people are not necessarily, they're great community members that are making a sacrifice, but they're not the most informed people on this particular, on a particular case. And so, whereas the hearing is intended to provide due process, it oftentimes provided a lot of confusion and a lot of barriers for reporting. this system of allowing the investigator, after the investigation, to make a determination of finding a fact, if there was a wrongdoing or not, makes a lot more sense because that investigator has been reviewing the information for weeks, months. They're the most intimately connected with that information. Because there's now a second investigator and there will be a third investigator hired, there are multiple pairs of eyes to check over that report if the initial investigator did a poor job. The appeals process still exists in full, so that level of due process, that protection exists for both sides. Both sides have all three opportunities to appeal on the three grounds. And instead of throwing two people into a very uncomfortable, very tense 3-hour hearing, we've eliminated that completely, but ensured a layer of due process by allowing both sides, the complainant and the respondent, to review the investigation before it's officiated, to make changes, to contest findings, and to ask each side questions, which was the true benefit of the hearing, to be able to question the other side. Questions are still kept intact in the system, except they're asked through the investigator and then delivered via the investigator to that other party. So instead of this very uncomfortable cross-examination period between a potential perpetrator and a survivor, the questions are funneled through the investigator, which I think makes a lot more sense. So that's sort of the screening I want to provide to you all right now. And if there's questions, I can answer those right now. But I believe that's my last slide, fortunately. Awesome. And then contact info if you need it. But if there's any questions on anything I said, especially the Title IX portion, I would happily answer those right now, or you can contact me later. I can answer them later.
Any questions for the director?
Sweet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move on to revising from student activities. Cheyenne, do you have anything?
I do. Hi guys, so Cheyenne, if I haven't met you, if you emailed me, I'm so sorry. I swear I am not ignoring you. I have received over 400 emails almost in the last week from individual students that need something. Training got pushed back, and the fair got pushed back, and everything keeps getting pushed back, and everyone's very upset. So if you contacted me, I swear I'm not ignoring you. Moving into this year, my main focus is Senate and your success. Last year I focused a lot on club council, which was my other role, and I'm moving into this year with the full focus on you guys and what you're working on. And so I want to make sure that you know that. I'm going to have open office hours for you so you guys can pop in and get the individual attention on your areas. And that's really all I have. We'll also do a retreat for Senate, but we're going to do that after we have our new senators in, so that won't be happening until the end of October. Other than that, I just want to thank you guys for being here and sticking it through over the summer.
All right, thank you. All right, we will now move on to new business. First thing on the agenda is the swearing in of Madison Wheeler to be the 22nd Speaker of the Undergraduate Senate. President Johnson, would you come join us?
Right. Please raise your right hand. State your, wait. Let me read it right now. Repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear. I, Madison Wheeler, do solemnly swear. That I will diligently and faithfully. That I will diligently and faithfully. Execute the duties and responsibilities. Execute the duties and responsibilities. Of the office of Speaker of the Undergraduate Senate. That I will abide by the governing documents. That I will abide by the governing documents. Of the student government. Of the student government. And that I will work to my fullest abilities. And that I will work to my fullest abilities. To promote the interests and welfare. To promote the interests and welfare. Of the students of American University. Of the students of American University. Very good. Hi, everyone.
Hello, Madam Speaker.
Very shy.
And one.
I don't have any plate, no. I have any. Okay. Give me one.
Elementary and three.
Like actually.
I don't know.
Okay, no, that's really fine.
It's a question, I don't know if it's elementary and three.
Okay.
What led to that, those two being stricken from the business?
Well, we had some issues earlier with CRP.
Okay. So I can speak on this.
Yeah,
So, Noah and Taylor and I, as Taylor spoke to in her, report, Noah, Taylor, and I did some Google Hangouts this summer and interviewed, almost 10, judicial board judicial board applicants. And 2 were chosen to be nominated, 1 for associate and 1 for chair. But there is something that's holding us back from considering those today. So they're gonna be considered next week. Does that answer your question sufficiently?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So we come now to the consideration of Bill 1617-022. The clerk will put the legislation by number and title.
Bill 1617-022, Defense of South Students.
Would the sponsor or co-sponsors like to come speak? Okay, you guys can come here. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, I am Sophia Pintar, representative for the campus at large. I am also the vice chair for the ad hoc committee of diversity and inclusion. And unfortunately, on Tuesday, the United States and American University had some very unfortunate news from the Trump administration. And I think this bill will be not only our statement in solidarity with these students, but it will also be our immediate action, our immediate responses, so that people who benefit from DACA, as well as families who also have members who benefit from DACA, are protected and can go about their education at American University as much as possible. And the main idea is that these people are no less our colleagues and our fellow students and our friends than they were on Tuesday. And it is not a political action, but it is our job as the Undergraduate Senate to make sure that we protect and we serve all students at American University. So at the top, you'll see our statement that we stand in full solidarity with people who benefit from DACA. And we will also work with Secretary Snyder on making sure that we have the most updated information on what we can do and what the American University's resources are for those people. And the ad hoc committee of diversity and inclusion will also be in direct contact with LASSO and LULAC to make sure that we have the right resources and we're making the right decisions to be making the right legislation to protect those students.
This is gonna be my last bill, because Taylor just announced me in her cabinet, so it's not like I can. But basically, I'm gonna go in depth a bit into what Sophia just said. On September 5th, 2017, President Trump chose to rescind DACA, which stands for Deferred Action for Childhood Arrival, which is a 2-year renewable program that allowed for certain undocumented Americans to have their deportation delayed and obtain a temporary work permit after meeting specific qualifications, and there was a $495 fee. So it's not like it was getting to them. There was background checks, and they had to submit their biometrics. So it was like a really intense process. So Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced on behalf of President Trump's administration that DACA will be terminated in 6 months, meaning that about 800,000 current DACA recipients would be forced out of their jobs and put them under the threat of deportation unless Congress acts. As we know, Congress have other big agendas, such as budgeting, the healthcare system in America. So like immigration is really not on top of their list. It's very important that higher education institutions get involved in this topic because this is the only way that we can, push forward and push Congress to be active on this issue. So basically, Sophia drafted this, with the help of Felipe, and it's not a perfect bill. I do want to say that, but it was a bill that we wanted to present so that we can start the discussion on this topic. And, you know, like, I have amendments to propose on it. So if any of you guys have amendments to propose on it, it's sort of like just to get the conversation started. This is by no means, I think, the last version of it. Yeah, so I have some friendly amendments with.
Yeah, can I reiterate that?
Okay.
This is by no means like set in stone, like you're not gonna meet any opposition from Yami or me about like changing anyway, like we're very open to not only like the student government, but the community and what they wanna see happen. So we just wanna make sure like we got the ball rolling and we're doing things as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
So.
Okay, thank you guys. Are there any questions for the bill co-sponsors? Okay, any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, we're gonna open up into a period of discussion. Is there any discussion on the bill? Yeah. Okay.
I want to make, I think this is a discussion. And I'm supposed to amend it?
Yeah.
So I want to, I need to open it up. I'm so sorry.
Point of order.
Yeah.
We need to waive first reading, right, before we make amendments.
Okay.
Because when you have to go to a committee.
Would it?
Well, we're the committee that it would go to.
Well, right, but it has to go to.
Yeah,
Still has to go.
unless you want to waive first reading.
Okay, yeah, I'd like
Right,
to.
is that right?
I was looking it up right now, actually, because I had the same idea.
Yeah, I'd like to move to waive first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second?
Start discussion before that vote happens. Doesn't wait first reading.
Okay, is there any discussion on the motion to waive first reading?
It's the opinion of the executive board that it goes to committee and goes through a formal markup process. And that it doesn't, we don't waive first, that it doesn't waive first reading.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion to waive first reading? Senator Leona?
I agree, as long as it's amended, I don't have any problems. I'm just not gonna be the chair of this committee,
So I guess that's.
so I guess that's Sophia. But yeah, I mean, as long as it's amended, amended, I'm fine with it.
Okay, so it would be sent to the Committee on Student Advocacy.
That means diversity inclusion, right?
Yeah,
You can't send.
The problem is-
you can send though.
So the ad hoc committee on diversity and inclusion is on the legislative committee.
So why don't you send it to our committee, university advocacy, and
Yeah.
we can work on it together.
Move it to committee for student advocacy.
University
that's kind of-
advocacy.
Point of order, there's already a motion on the floor.
Yeah, you have to vote on first. First, wait first reading.
Okay. So is there any other discussion on the motion to waive first reading? Okay, seeing no discussion, we'll vote on the motion to waive first reading. All those in favor of waiving first reading on the bill, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to waiving first reading?
No.
Point of order,
You
Yes,
just waive first reading.
yes.
we need to reestablish quorum.
Okay, we're gonna take a roll call. Give me 1 second.
Welcome back, everyone.
Bless you.
I didn't make you sing.
Thank you for thinking about this.
Okay. Senator Pintar?
Here.
Senator Lipstein? Senator Gale? Senator Rogers?
Here.
Senator Barto?
Here.
Senator Pugh?
Here.
Senator Kenna?
Here.
Senator Palmer? Senator Conover?
Here.
Senator Grant? Senator Adeli?
Here.
Senator Smith? Senator Borowski? Senator Listenberg? Senator Lepore? Senator Sheehan? Senator Zangi? Senator Payano?
Here.
Okay, so with 8 senators present, we currently do not have quorum.
Point of order.
Come on, y'all, it's the beginning of the semester.
Do we have any capability of suspending absent senators? So that they don't count for quorum?
So they don't.
You wanna move to suspend them?
I'm asking if that's possible. So we could get
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion for a recess.
I move that we recess subject to the call of the chair.
Okay,
Second.
is there any discussion? All those in favor of
I have a quick
recessing?
question. Sorry, I just out of curiosity, will in the interest of time, because this bill is sensitive, the docket issue, will this be referred to a committee or is it just in limbo because we've recessed?
So since we don't have quorum, we can't
Even continue?
even continue.
Okay.
So all those in favor of recessing, subject to the call of the chair, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we're recessed.
It's such a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were on the motion, are we good? We good? Okay, so we were on a motion to waive first reading on this bill. Is there any discussion on this motion to waive first reading?
When, how, if you wanna, I have a point of order. If we wanna take the bill away, I'll just,
Okay, we need to,
finish the discussion.
we need to vote on waiving first reading and then you guys can withdraw the bill.
Okay.
Okay, so all in favor, seeing no further discussion on waiving first reading of this bill, all those in favor of waiving first reading, please say aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
No.
Okay, it's the opinion of the chair that the bill, first reading of the bill is not waived. Senator Pintar?
Move to remove, Bill 1617-022 from the agenda.
Okay, is your motion to amend the agenda or is your motion to withdraw your bill?
To withdraw my bill.
Okay, as a sponsor, you're allowed to do that at any time, so the bill's now withdrawn. Okay. Okay, so this is withdrawn. We'll now move on to the confirmation of Bobby Bismuth being senator for the campus at large. So there was, we had CRP today, and both of the senator confirmations were recommended favorably by the Committee on Rules and Privileges, so now they're here to appear in front of full Senate. So how this goes down, there's 4 minutes. Each nominee will have 4 minutes to speak, 4 minutes of questioning, and then there'll be debate. So if Bobby Zitzman would like to come down and speak, feel free.
I think most of you were here when I spoke for the committee, but I saw a few people coming. I don't know if they were senators. So I'll just say the old spiel again. I applied for this position, I think it was at the end of July. I was thinking, like, what can I do to be involved this year? And I saw on the student government website, there were all these Senate positions open. I think there were 4 or 5. So that led me to believe the first reason I would like to join the Senate is that the student government as a whole and the undergraduate Senate specifically is not making itself relevant enough for the student body. You can't even get enough people to run. Clearly, the important work that the undergraduate Senate does needs to be better communicated to the student body. So that's one thing I would like to work on. I joined the Senate is better communicating the message of what student government and the undergraduate Senate specifically do to make them relevant to the student body. And then the second main reason, the second area I'm going to work on in the undergraduate Senate comes out of a class that I worked on that I was a part of last year, Com 105. And for that whole semester, we were working on a project where we documented around campus areas that were either completely inaccessible or very challenging to someone who would be either in a wheelchair or has some kind of physical disability that would prevent them from getting into that building. So we documented these places on campus. We created a system to help people with disabilities get around campus, and we presented to the administration about all of our findings and recommendations for them. And that was all good work, but then it's just stopped at the end of the class, and all the problems that we told to the administration are still there. So in the Senate, I think the student government can be effective in alleviating those problems. So that's the second thing I want to work on while I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions for the nominee? Senator Adele.
It's very clear that you have very well researched on Senate as a whole. Is there anything, a particular committee or an act that Senate has done within the past year that you think you would like to work on? Because I know there are critiques, but there are a lot of, I think, accomplishments that a lot of my colleagues have made in the past year that I think still need a lot of collaboration. So if you could speak a little bit on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so as far as committees go, I think, just to take the example, that second main area about the accessibility, because it's mainly about students, the committee that would be responsible for that is the Committee on Student Advocacy, because they would advocate for students with disabilities toward whatever particular part of the administration is responsible for clearing the path to a building or making sure whatever infrastructure around the entrance to the building is properly situated. So that would be the committee within the Senate that would be responsible for recommending that and working on that.
Are there any other questions for the nominee? Okay, seeing no further questions, we'll move into debate. Would you please leave the room? All right. And we'll close the door then. Okay, is there any discussion on the nominee? Any discussion? Senator Adele?
Yeah, I mean, I just like, the reason why I asked that question beforehand was just to see that like, it's really, I mean, all of us came into Senate thinking that there's a lot to be fixed, but it's also, it takes a level of responsibility as well to acknowledge what has been completed in the past and see how you want to work on existing projects, whether it's in student advocacy, whether it is in diversity and inclusion. And I think moving forward with the new like wave of senators coming through in the system as well, I think that it's important to point out that to work on already pre-existing projects that are already in place as well as bringing on new projects. So I just thought I'd put that up.
Okay. Is there any other discussion? Senator Kenneth?
On the topic of body existence, knowing him outside of Senate, I can attest to him being a good addition to our body. I know that he's taken initiative, especially last year, in starting a new campus publication. If you haven't read the American Agora, I would recommend it. And so I think based on that, we can expect him to be taking the initiative in this body as well to benefit all students.
Any other discussion?
I haven't known him personally, but just a point of discussion. I think that we should strive to collaborate more in the future. And since you know him off like this body, do you think he'll be willing to sort of be collaborative and work together?
Actually, I would say that yes, because I know that I'm involved with another publication, and he has actually reached out to me and said, let's work together. So I can imagine that spirit of collaboration continuing also. Yes.
Sure. Any other discussion? Facing no further discussion, we'll vote on the confirmation of Bobby Dixon to become a senator for the campus at large. All those in favor of this confirmation, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay. Is there any other chair that please confirm? You can bring that back over. So we'll come down to the confirmation of Madison Laura to be senator for the class of 2019.
So I kind of did my whole spiel already at the beginning, so I just kind of want to reiterate what I wanted to do was that so last year I was part of the student rights working group, and it led me to listening. We talked about like issues plaguing campuses at wide and what we thought was plaguing campuses here. And so the biggest thing I personally want to do, because I've been affected by it, and I know people that have been affected by it, is working on mental health issues, as well as just affordability of schools and affordability of cost of school, the accessibility of this body to students, because I know last year And I know it's responsibility of students themselves to become involved. And I know last year I didn't know how accessible this body was, and I would really like to work on that. And then so that was pretty much my primary concerns, or not concerns, but things that I wanted to work on if I was involved with this committee or group, I guess. So.
Okay, are there any questions for the nominee? Any questions? Okay, seeing no questions, we'll move into a period of discussion. Would you please leave the room? Okay, is there any discussion on the nominee? Senator Rogers.
I move that we close debate and confirm the nominee by unanimous consent.
Without objection. Okay, we'll now vote on the confirmation of Madison Morrow to become a senator for the class of 2019. All those in favor of her confirmation, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay, she's confirmed. Okay, we come down to the swearing in of the senator confirmations. You guys can come up here. Okay, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Bobby Simpson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will diligently and faithfully
diligently and faithfully
execute the duties and responsibilities
execute the duties and responsibilities
of the office of,
of the undergraduate senator.
that I will abide by the governing documents
I will abide by the governing documents
of the student government,
of the student government,
and that I will work to my fullest abilities
and that I will work to my fullest abilities
to promote the interests and welfare
to promote the interests and welfare
of the students of American University.
of the students of American University.
Okay. Okay, so we come now to an election of a member for the special committee on finance. The floor is now open to nominations. Are there any nominations?
Sure. I nominate Tom Kelly.
Okay, there's been a nomination for Senator Kenna. Is there a second?
Second.
Do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations?
You senators, you guys are like full-on senators now, so
Yeah.
feel free to
You want to be on the finance committee?
do that.
How many members?
There's one seat open.
Oh, okay.
Any other nominations? Okay, seeing no further nominations, we'll close the floor of nominations. Okay. So we're going to candidate speeches. So you can come down and speak. 4 minutes to speak, 4 minutes of questioning, then we'll have debate.
Yeah.
Put that one there. So.
Okay, you can get ready.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hello, colleagues. I appreciate this nomination to the Senate Committee on Finance, and I would like to kindly ask for you voting onto this committee, and I believe that I am qualified for it, given my past year's experience with student government and with the Senate. Being a student of what we do here, I'd like to take what I've learned as a senator to further enhance the work of the Finance Committee. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for the nominee? Or any questions for the nominee? Okay, seeing no questions, we'll move on to debate. Will you please leave the room?
Sure.
Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
Can we move to confirm with unanimous consent?
We have to vote by secret ballot.
Yeah, it's a special committee.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, we're gonna vote by secret ballot. Let me distribute some ballots.
It's in the bio.
It's in the bio.
What is
The reason it's a legislation.
Yeah. You have to send it,
Oh,
you have to send it,
Make
you have to send it
that-
quorum 2 hours beforehand, so.
Make that your like final piece of legislation. Change that bylaw.
And there's only one nominee.
Yeah, there's only one.
Ridiculous.
I heard like this.
Oh, also to the new senators not normally use it like this, also usually there are members, so just to let you know. Things are taken very more seriously, but people are coming back and people are not
We're
here.
still on vacation.
Yeah.
That's pretty. You guys are done.
Hey,
No,
I'm giving it 2 votes.
Well.
One of them
Thank
is.
Trevor's like,
Thanks.
You chose one.
Yeah. I actually sucked it out.
Oh,
I didn't even write up.
Sorry.
That's on the live show.
I wonder who
For
won.
who? You?
Oh, you can vote, bring it back in.
Oh.
You can vote.
I'm sure. I'm very confident.
Hug jury.
Senator Kenna, you can vote if you want to.
Please abstain.
Abstain from voting.
Please abstain.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
You need to write abstain.
Oh.
Over ballot.
All right.
Yeah, it has to be a secret.
Oh.
Here you go.
Go back last year, right? Go back to last year. I asked for some.
Hands on my pen.
Oh,
Yeah.
screw you.
That was awful.
Hey, people, like, they're like different other Now I realize what the actual hot stuff is.
What?
What was that for? Was that for the election?
Oh,
No, there's been a special, that was speech. Like always.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
That's true. I did like the whole thing.
True.
Cursing.
For the record.
Okay, we're coming back to order.
I tried to.
And Senator Kenna will be our new member of the Finance Committee.
That was a close thing.
Okay, so we come now to an election for the chair of the Committee on Responsible Advocacy. The floor is now open to nominations. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Sam Rogers.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Does the nominee accept?
Yes.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Seeing no further nominations, we'll now move on to candidate speeches. Feel free to come and speak.
I declined to give the speech.
Okay, are there any questions for the nominee?
Nice. Not for the nominee, but a question, who was it beforehand?
Senator May.
Senator Mays. Any questions for the nominee? Okay, seeing no further questions, we'll move on to discussion. Please leave the room. Senator Hughes.
I move to confirm Senator Rogers by unanimous.
Second.
Okay.
This was on February 18th.
Okay, so we still need to vote by secret ballot. So we're gonna vote by secret ballot.
Really?
Let's pass out some ballots and vote by secret ballot.
Is that what you think of too?
Should we call it?
Yeah, you can go back in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We're voting, if I take your ballot, go and vote.
Yes.
Sorry, I need to, I did just all this. Okay, okay. I don't know.
Wait. This is going to be a unanimous vote, correct? Yeah, you just put him in charge of CRA.
Oh, it's so bad.
Okay, Senator Rogers will be the new chair of the Responsible Advocacy. Okay, we'll now move on to old business, which there is none. We'll now go on to move here to public comment. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak at this time? You know, public comment will now move on to good of the order. Does any senator or somebody seeking rights want to speak? Senator Payano.
It's been a pleasure working with you all. I'm gonna resign. And I'm more than happy and like super excited for the school year and love to work with you guys. I will come and sit here like silently in the back to know what you guys are up to. But if you guys need anything whatsoever, it doesn't only have to be immigration issues. It can come in Title IX or accessibility, whatever. I'm here for that. That's my job as the inclusion director. And me moving to the executive board is just a way to facilitate what you guys do here. And I am a true believer 100% that this is where the advocacy comes from, not up here. So I'll be cheering you guys on. And again, I'll be around if any of you guys need me.
Any other, Senator Barto?
I wish more people were here to clap for you, Yami. But I'm really appreciative of what you've done. And yeah, I know, again, new senators like don't feel like, wow, like we literally have a whole desk empty. Like things are more serious, and I do encourage you if you do like what you find here in these next couple of weeks to run again in the fall. But yeah, it's good to be back. We're trying to finish this year strong. And when I say strong, like not just like putting legislation to change the quorum, but like real tangible effects that students can see. I think a lot of times this body is confused with bureaucracy, and it's time to change that confusion with pure advocacy. So.
Anybody else for good of the order? Senator Pintar?
Yeah, I just want to appreciate everyone's input today. I apologize for making such a mess today. Just like keeping everyone here longer than they had to. But as like the new informal head of diversity and inclusion, please come up and talk to me if you want to be involved in any of the work we're going to be moving forward with DACA in the next couple of weeks, and anything you guys see as like needing to be addressed, please come talk to me. Thank you.
Senator Penna?
Tomorrow, as you know, is 9/11, and the College Republicans, in partnership with AU Dems, AU Gal, Network of Enlightened Women, will be putting on a memorial service at the flagpole outside of MGC at 9 a.m. when the flight took off, and there'll be an interfaith prayer and a name reading. I know that Taylor, Solomon, and Chris are all going to be there, and I'd like to invite all the senators to attend the event as well.
I have a good one. I have no one's even here. If you are on the CUA committee, or you want to be, come talk to me. But if you are on it, please fill out the doodle poll. That's all I'm asking. Fill out the damn doodle poll.
Okay, is there anybody else for good of the order? Okay, I'm gonna say a few things if you don't mind. Okay, so hi everyone. Make sure you're reading my emails and sending me your bios. If I ask for filling out the doodle poll for office hours, y'all office hours do start tomorrow. So If you haven't signed up for office hours, you should do that. They start tomorrow. So sign up for office hours. You'll get a meeting summary from me today. And I'll send more emails to you soon, I'm sure. Okay, anybody else for good of the order? Okay, seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
I want to see
I feel that before. I know.
Did you get my text message?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We should make a list of organizations. We should have to do letter language, and we should have CUA, which is my committee, and DI, and I mean, since you can't bring up legislative orders, my committee can, so we can just partner together.
Okay, cool. Okay, you guys are talking.
And since you're gonna resign, but
I already like said.
I know, since you all have resigned, this is a good way to also to work with the President's Leadership Council.
Yeah.
And also the Senate and executive.
Yeah, so like I'm all on all of those committees, the president and the executive council. So just like I told her, I think we should just do a Google Doc and like share it. And then like if you guys need any help drafting it, I've drafted a few things.
And then I want to like have meetings obviously with LASSO, LULAC, a whole bunch of other different organizations to just talk to them, get their input. Because I think it's important that like not only like do we have input from us three or us two or whatever, presidents, leadership council. I want like input from kind of like the entire
for the letter. Then it would probably take more than a week.
I know. I think we got with the draft letter first.
And then send it out to them.
Send it out, yeah.
And then tell them if they have any comments and to come back.
And then to meet administrators.
Yeah, and because I have personal ties with them, I can just like hit up and be like, hey, we just send you a letter, please respond.
We're definitely trying to coordinate with Fonta. If you could like reiterate that,
And then we'll meet with Fonta with it. So I think it's a kind of like a step process. We'll get the letter language down.
Send it to the folks.
Send it to
So then if we're giving like logistically speaking, a week to write this letter and then a week to send it out to them and we have time to respond, we wouldn't be meeting her until like 2 weeks from now. So I'll give her a heads up, I'll make sure Cheyenne and I will coordinate it, and then let's work together.
You have the same name as email, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I'll make, when I get on my computer in like 10 minutes, I'll make a Google Doc between us and letter, and we can start out by like putting like different things that we want in it. You guys are awesome.
No, Sophia's awesome. No, I
Both are awesome.
No. I like, that's why like I wanted to come because I knew that like a lot of people were gonna like come and meet, and I was like, nah, I ain't gonna happen.
I know, I just feel bad. Could have been out of here in like 45 minutes.
No, it's fine.
No, that wasn't you.
I think it was just the core of the
Mr. Conlon.
So we're meeting at
Tom,
Who's meeting?
do you have meal swipes?
all of us. You work. I just finished it out.
Did someone say PDO? George?
So you don't want to guys.
Who is tweeting from the AOSG Senate?
That was so weird.
Who's tweeting from?
If one is coming back to get that computer.
I checked it out.
I will.
Do you want to do it?
Is it flashing off?
Yeah.
Can we turn off the live stream?
Yes.
So,
So you want, well, should I wait? No, I mean, I think we should do it like at night.
what are you doing right now?
Maddie, we're still broadcasting.
Okay, can you turn that off?